what we're going to do with this story is do a bit of it in bilingual format. I'll do the English and Jesse will do the Abenaki. And this story, it comes from a or as we would say in Abenaki, Noat. A long time ago, there was one known as Gluskomba. Noat, Mozawino, the weak one, the talker. And this one, Gluskomba, had been given great power by Katsinoask. Tawa Agama, the talker, who was on them, Kitsi Medallinongan, would see the great mystery. He had the ability to change things. But when he was very young, he often made great mistakes. Agama, Katsi, who was on them, Halhaman. And so it was that he was given a grandmother. Woodchuck was his grandmother. Woodchuck was very wise. For she could see underneath the ground. And above the ground. And understood many things. Now one day, Gluskomba was walking by the big water and he saw out there some ducks. That's ducks. Sounds like them too, doesn't it? And those ducks were nice and fat. And Gluskomba was feeling kind of hungry and he thought, oh, I think it's a good day to take a ride in my canoe. Ni guiguigamak, uli, wikaak, ta Gluskomba, kiston, nia losa, wigwao, giskak. So he went and got his canoe and also his bow and arrows. And he began to paddle his canoe out into the big water, and as he paddled, he sang this song. Agama losa nimska dombi, ta pakwa, ta losa wigwao sibok, ta linto yo linto wonga. Kayo wajine yo ho he ho, kayo wajine, kayo wajine, kayo wajine yo ho hey, kayo wajine, kayo wajine. I want to hunt some ducks. I want to hunt some ducks. I'd like to hunt some ducks. I'm going to hunt some ducks. But as he paddled out, before he could get to those ducks, a great wind came up and blew him back to shore. He was not happy. He said, I will sing harder and paddle faster. Kayo wajine yo ho ho hey ho, kayo wajine, kayo wajine. Once again, the wind spun him around this time and pushed him back to shore. He was really not happy now. But he said, I will try really hard this time. But this time when he tried, before he even got that out, the wind came and lifted up the canoe and threw it on shore with Gluskomba beneath it. He was not happy. He went straight back to the lodge where he lived with his grandmother, Woodchuck. He walked into the lodge. He said, Grandmother, I need to answer a question. What I want to know from you is this. What makes the wind to blow? And she looked at him and said, why do you want to know? And he said, because. And she said, Gluskomba, I don't think I shall tell you. Because every time you ask a question like this, and I'll give you an answer, you'll get into big trouble. So I don't think I shall tell you. Well, Gluskomba, he sat down in front of her, crossed his legs, crossed his arms and began to chant, "Tell me why the wind blows, tell 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 me why the wind blows." His grandmother put her paws over her ears. "Ho! Hey!" She said, "Oh, Bruchac, stop. I know how stubborn you are. You will do this day and night until I tell you, so I might as well tell you even though I know I should not. The wind is caused by the one we call UMSL, the wind eagle, who sits on top of the highest mountain. When he flaps his wings, it makes the wind blow." "Oh, Oli Oni." "Thank you, grandmother," he said. "That's really good. But how would someone find this place where the wind eagle stands?" Once again, his grandmother shook her head and said, "I don't think I should tell you that, but..." Bruchac sat down, crossed his arms, crossed his legs, took a deep breath, and she said, "But I will tell you. If you want to find the place where the wind eagle stands, just turn face into the wind and keep walking till you get to the place where the wind begins." "Oh, and Bruchac walked outside, faced into the wind, and began to walk. He walked across the fields. Ho! Walked through the forest. Ho! Walked up the hills. Ho! And the wind blew strong. Ho! Stronger and stronger. Ho! It blew so strong. Ho! It blew the moccasins right off his feet. But he was stubborn. Continued to climb as those hills rose higher. Ho! The wind blew stronger. Ho! So much stronger. Ho! It blew off his shirt. But he was determined and kept on climbing, for now he was in the mountains. Ho! Going much higher and higher. Ho! And the wind blew stronger. Ho! So much stronger. Ho! It blew off all his clothing. But he was stubborn and continued to climb, and that wind blew so strong, ho! It blew all the hair off his head. I've been close to that place myself. It even blew off his eyebrows. But now he could see ahead of him, on the very top of the mountain, a great bird flapping its wings. But that bird's wings were making so strong a wind, he could not get any closer. He grabbed hold of a big stone, took a deep breath, and called out, "Grandfather!" And the wind eagle stopped flapping its wings and looked around and said, "Who called me grandfather?" Bruchac stood up and said, "I did, grandfather. I came up here all this way to tell you do a very good job of making the wind blow." "Oh," said the wind eagle, "you mean like this?" And it flapped its wings so hard it lifted Bruchac right up off the ground, would have blown him off that mountain, had he not grabbed hold of that rock and called out again, "Grandfather!" And the wind eagle stopped and said, "Yes, grandson." Bruchac said, "Grandfather, you do an excellent job of making the wind blow, but I believe you could do a better job on that mountain over there." The wind eagle looked. "That may be so, but how would I go from here to there?" And Bruchac said, "Grandfather, do not worry. I will carry you." And Bruchac quickly ran down the mountain till he came to a great basswood tree. He split open the outer bark and pulled out the tough, stringy bark, and he began to weave it together, as we all do to this day, and made a rope of basswood fiber, a strong carrying strap. He ran back to the wind eagle and said, "Now, grandfather, I will take you to a better place." And he wrapped that carrying strap around him so tightly the wind eagle's wings were pinned to the side of its body. And then he picked the wind eagle up, put him over his shoulders, began to carry him toward that other mountain over there. But as he walked, there was a deep crack between the mountains, and as he stepped over that crack, he let go, and the wind eagle slid down, upside down, and was stuck. "Oh," Bruchac said, "a better place indeed." And he walked back down the mountain, back down the hills, back through the forest, back across the fields, and by the time he got back to his own wigwam, his hair had all grown back. He put on fine new clothing, climbed into his canoe, began to paddle out, happily singing his song, Kai-o-wa-ji-ne-yo, ho-hey-ho, Kai-o-wa-ji-ne, Kai-o-wa-ji-ne. But as he paddled along, he noticed something. He was getting really hot. The air was very still. It was getting hard to breathe that still air, and the water was looking dirty and covered with foam. The clouds were stuck in the sky. He was covered with sweat, and there were no birds to be seen. They had hidden because all was not as it should be. He turned around and forced his canoe through that foamy, dirty water back to shore, went straight to the lodge of his grandmother and said, "Grandmother, what's wrong with the world? The air is hot and still, and the clouds are stuck in the sky, and the water is all foamy and dirty." And his grandmother said, "Bruchac, what did you do?" And Bruchac said, "Me? Nothing. Nothing much." "Bruchac, I am your grandmother. You must tell me what you did." He said, "Oh, grandmother, all I did was go outside, face into the wind, walk across the fields, through the forest, up the hills, up the mountain, find the wind eagle, tie his wings, and drop him in a crack." His grandmother, she shook her head. She said, "Bruchac, don't you understand? The wind is a good thing in many ways. It cleans the air. It brings coolness when it is hot. The clouds that bring the rain are brought by that wind, and the waters are washed by the waves made by wind. Without the wind, this earth would not be a good place for us or for the children yet to come." "Oh," said Bruchac, "I see what I must do." And he walked outside, faced in the direction where there was no wind, and began to walk across the fields, through the forest, up the hills, until he reached the top of the mountain. And when he got to that place where there was the crack, he looked down, and there was the wind eagle still stuck upside down. And he thought for a moment, and then said, "Uncle!" And the wind eagle said, "Who called me uncle?" "It's Bruchac, Uncle. What are you doing down there?" "Oh, Bruchac, I am glad to see you. A very ugly, naked man brought me here, and I am not comfortable." Grandfather, Uncle, would you like me to help you?" "Oh," said the wind eagle. So Bruchac pulled the wind eagle from that crack, put him back on the mountaintop. But as he untied his wings, he said this one thing. He said, "Grandfather, Uncle, sometimes it is good for the wind to blow. Sometimes it would be good for the wind to stop." And the wind eagle looked at Bruchac and said, "Oh, grandson, I understand." And so it is to this day. Oh. I thought that wind story was a good one, since some wind has been through here recently. To remind us sometimes it's good when it's still, sometimes it's good. Well, thinking of the wind, we're going to conclude with some sounds of breath, because breath is a very sacred thing. And when breath is shaped through a flute, it can do many things. It can be a song to touch the heart of someone you love. It can be a way of giving yourself companionship when you feel lonely. It can be a prayer to the Creator. A reminder that we all live through breath, this breath that we share, which can be turned into words or into song.